Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry, and I need to tell you a story. Actually, I'm going to tell you two stories, but both take place in prison. Yeah, I've been to prison. Anyway, I did stand up in prisons on the East Coast in Pennsylvania prisons, and I think Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Now that I'm thinking about it, I also did volunteer work around education in California and Arizona prisons. Anyway, mostly maximum, mostly male populations. So first prison, I'm doing stand up, and I'm doing my thing. I'm telling my jokes, and people are laughing. And then one random guy would just start yelling random things like hooty hoo, ah, and just yelling things. And one time he said something, and I said something back, and everybody laughed. It was real funny. I'd been used to dealing with hecklers. This was different. Um, and everybody laughed. And one guy, one really big guy, stood up, crossed his arm, looked at him, pointed, and the guy came over to him and sat by him and did not say another thing for the rest of the time. Anyway, after the show, was able to just stand and have conversation with people. And there were guards and what have you, but they were who they were. So the big guy who stood up came over to me and said, Dr. Berry, I just want to apologize to you for my brother. He got a metal plate in his head and it's hot in here and it be reverberating. And so I was like, no problem. But you handled it. He was like, I do. Anyway, next prison, I'm volunteering in, and they had asked me to speak at their commencement. It was the first time they were having a GED graduation. And I was like, yeah, I'll speak. Can the band play? And they were like, yeah, the band can play. So I get there, and there's not one band, there's bands: the Latino band, the white band, and the black band. And I was like, what do we do? And they were like, oh, we don't mix. And I was like, okay. And then listen to everybody. And I was like, the drummer over here would sound good with this. And they were like, we don't do that. I was like, just try it. It's just us. We're musicians. So they did. And then we had one band. And they said, Dr. Berry, do you know what just happened? And I was like, no. They said, we don't do this. We don't race mix in the yard. I was like, well, you just did. Graduation happens. It was amazing. Oh, amazing. And there was a woman there who was in her 80s, and her son, who was in his 60s, was graduating. And she said, I didn't want to see my son graduate in prison, but I would much rather have him graduate in prison than not graduate at all. And she just held me and hugged me. Anyway, the band played, and the whole place was just rocking, joyful, amazing. And now that prison has a huge music program, and well-known performers and musicians come there and teach lessons and bring instruments. It is amazing. Here's the thing. Sometimes people who are imprisoned and enslaved move with more mental freedom than those of us who believe ourselves to be free. It was an easy thing to say, y'all play with them. And they did. I didn't have to assert myself in a way that took me away from who I was with the young man who it was reverberating. Others did it for him. And they apologized for him. And they walked with him and they took care of him. And those musicians integrated because it was music. Those of us who believe ourselves to be free should walk like it. We should begin to act like it, caring for one another, lifting one another up, watching out, and integrating because it's music. I love you.